roads destroyed by heavy equipment. And despite some funding last session, more money is needed in places like Karnes County, where we travel to see how crews and locals are currently coping. They're Karnes County's form of growing pains. Small rural highways crumbling away every day.
Gradually get beat up little by little.
Jeremy Hernandez is part of the population increase in the last few years, setting up his shop behind the wheel.
Accidents happen. Not what you want to do is wake up in the morning and be involved in an accident.
TxDOT has tried to make tax dollars stretch, tackling traffic problems by widening roads and creating 2-mile-long passing lanes for drivers to safely get around these semi-trucks. Hundreds of them each week. The reason they're all rolling in, there are about 5,000 of those oil wells now. In 2008, there were only 100, and they only produced about 20,000 barrels of oil each month. Now, that number is 6.2 million. Which means a lot of money for the state. And a lot of trucks to haul heavy machinery and the oil itself. In the year after the boom began, the number of vehicle accidents reported here rose from 130 a year to more than 400.
People hit a pothole and have a blowout and then go off to the side of the road, or it could be the tractor trailer loaded with crude oil rolling over.
Tough to blame it all on the oil business, but locals say it did get worse as traffic increased.
Seems like it's a weekly event. Have to be alert, you have to be a defensive driver.
Accidents are a lot more common than they used to be.
Last year, 11 people died on these roads. And while accidents might be good for Hernandez's business, that's a statistic he hates to hear.
Rather than be safe on the roads, yes.
Without state funding, cities and counties in that area face a big financial burden. Some leaders have proposed passing the cost to the oil companies. For the first time in nearly a century, a Texas governor faces criminal charges. Some are now calling on the governor to step down. Governor Rick Perry now faces 2 criminal counts. He vetoed $7.5 million, as Chris said, from the DA's Public Integrity Unit, which investigates government corruption. It all started more than a year ago when Lindbergh was pulled over for drunk driving. While many called for her to resign, she pleaded guilty and spent time in jail and rehab.
That is not an individual who is heading up an office that we can afford to fund.
Unless Lindbergh resigned right now, he would veto that funding.
Her Public Integrity Unit was investigating his friends for their potential kickbacks. That's what this indictment is about. It's about the threats and the coercion.
Somebody needs to hold the powerful accountable.
What do you say to those critics that say you guys are just going after the Republicans?
Well, we've been here 16 years, and every top state official in that time has been a Republican.
Sketchy, outrageous, totalitarian, and McCarthyite.
And you've even had some Democrats saying that this indictment is far-fetched. Right now I want to zoom in up there on the stage because what you're witnessing is history. Governor Rick Perry saying goodbye to his statewide leadership.
It has been great fun to be the governor of the state of Texas over these last 14 years.
Really sounds like a campaign point right there. All signs are pointing to a possible presidential run. Perry was just on a rise, getting on top of the Fox News Republican presidential poll in late July.
It's a little difficult to run for president when you have a legal case hanging over your head like that.
There's already a field of possible Republican contenders that he would have to go up against if he does decide to run for president. Who really benefits from what happened with this indictment?
You have to think that Ted Cruz benefits. Again, look, when a potential opponent is wounded, injured, hit with anything negative, and this is negative, you know, it's a good thing for anybody except Rick Perry.
Perhaps the most challenging and certainly costliest part for clinics, they must all have an ambulatory surgical center. When you walk into the Whole Woman's Health Clinic in San Antonio, it's just like you're in the operating room at a hospital.
Be able to transfer somebody back to their recovery area.
The doors are wide enough for a stretcher to roll through, the spaces are much bigger, and there is even a docking bay for an ambulance. The reasons why this site will be one of just 6 clinics left performing abortions in the state.
It's a sterile environment.
But Andrea Ferrigno says early-term abortions often require only
the medical abortion pill. It's a very, very simple procedure. It could be completely offered in a consultation consultation office and in a counseling room.
Ferrigno, who helps lead this statewide health group, says they had to close down most of their clinics, including the one in Austin. It had smaller exam rooms and recliners in the recovery area. The San Antonio site was already an ambulatory surgical center, what the new law requires, no matter the type of abortion, and it can be expensive to maintain.
You have to include the cost of supplies, staffing, physical plant, and it increases to the thousands of dollars.
For each woman the clinic serves. Most are low income, and Ferrigno says Whole Woman's Health often helps them pay for the services, but it will be tough in the future.
We are expecting to see an increase in patients that will be traveling great distances to access the services they need.
Again, that clinic is one of just 6 that will still be open once every part of the law is in effect.